Hello, I'm Adam Smith. I'm the Programme Director for Dementia Researcher, and I'm delighted to be recording at the 2023 Alzheimer Europe Conference, which this year comes to you from Helsinki. Whilst at the conference, we're pleased to be working alongside Alzheimer Europe to bring you insights from people living with dementia and carers who are involved in their work and making the conference possible. In these 4 shows, we're going to talk about the work of the European Working Group of People with Dementia and its new sister, the European Dementia Carers Working Group. We'll also be talking about their experiences of presenting, the work that went into planning the event, and why this is important. And today I'm joined by Chris Roberts and Pia Knudsen. Chris is from Wales in the United Kingdom. He's the chair of the European Working Group of People with Dementia. Chris was diagnosed with early onset mixed dementia, vascular and Alzheimer's in 2012. In his early 50s. He's an honorary lecturer and honorary fellow at Bangor University, and he's also the co-founder of the 3 Nations Dementia Working Group and contributes to several different expert working groups. Pia is from Aarhus in Denmark. She's 59 years old and has a son and a daughter. She is educated as a visual artist, a designer and teacher, and was diagnosed with Alzheimer's dementia in 2020 and is a member of the European Working Group for People with Dementia. Additionally, she's been involved in speaking at the Parliament in Denmark as an ambassador of dementia and in public media activities, and has participated in lectures with the Danish Alzheimer's Association. Phew! Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Thank you so much both for joining us. I think it's having an audience today that's threw me off. I'm usually quite on script, I promise. Fun fact.
I think you did it good.
You're telling you're too generous. Fun fact, the creator of Moomins, Tove Jansson, was born in Helsinki. Did you know that, Chris?
I did, because I saw the Moomins display in the foyer.
Have you ever read any of the Moomins stories?
Absolutely not.
Because they're a little bit dreamlike. I remember reading it to my daughter, and they're
My children are all too old. It was Teletubbies.
No, it's really old though, isn't it? The
Is it?
Moomins, yeah, they were around in the... When were they first written? Do you know?
No.
I think in the 70s.
In the 70s, yeah.
Oh.
There you go. So that's our first fun fact of we're going to have more fun facts as these stories go on across the week. So before I start, those who don't know, let me introduce Alzheimer Europe. This wonderful organisation acts as an umbrella for bringing together and representing 41 different Alzheimer's associations from 37 different countries. So I guess that means there's at least 4 that have got more than one. And their mission is to make dementia a European priority and to change perceptions, policy and practice in order to improve the lives of people living with dementia. And by extension is their work with these European working groups that Pia and Chris are both involved in. We mentioned during the introduction that there are 2 groups that Alzheimer Europe hosts. Chris, why don't I come to you first and you can tell us, can you briefly introduce the European, I'm going to call it EWGPWD.
Yeah.
European Working Group.
Once you've done the whole thing, then you just say EWG.
EWG.
Or European Working Group.
Okay,
Yeah,
so we're
it
going to
gets
carry
rid
that
of all
on through.
yeah, because we know what it's about. They celebrated their 10-year anniversary last year, so this year makes it 11 years. And they were formed in 2012. The first place they went to, I think, was Glasgow, where they did the 2014 declaration. A couple of members have passed, we all do, but there's quite a few still out there. We serve 2 terms if we want to, or if we are able to. And then if you become chair, you stand the chance of getting voted in again, which happened to me. So
I was just about to say, because it feels like more than 2 years you've been involved in this group.
Yeah. It has 2 vice chairs, and we try and keep a gender balance as well. So if we don't reach a gender balance, then we'll get in touch with all the associations and organisations you just spoke about, and see if they can nominate someone else as well. So that's the way you might get 2 or 3 people from one organisation. But it's all the societies and all the associations from the different countries that nominate someone, that put someone forward.
So practically, though, when you have a meeting, what's on the agenda? What is it you're talking about?
It could be anything from, we've wrote papers, we've wrote booklets, we do research projects, so it could be absolutely anything. We've got two amazing facilitators, Anna and Diane, and just recently we now have Daphne and Soraya, and they organise everything. They do everything for us, and we just give them our opinions, our advice, our expertise.
So it really
but we're
is
only experts by
advisory.
experience in our own time, in our own illness. So that's why you need more than one person to be a spokesman.
And from all those
And
different
different countries, because it's treated so different in other countries.
Brilliant. And Pia, I believe you're new to the group. Could you tell us why you decided to join and why you think this is important?
Well, I didn't know there was this group, but I work with the Danish Alzheimer's Association, and they nominated me. And I was asked.
Did they tell you?
Asked to join. Yeah, they did. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here today. I'd still be at home. Yes, they asked me if I would like to join the group, and I believe that the more the merrier, and the more knowledge I get from other countries and we get from each other, the more we work together, the more we get to know each other, the better. As I said in my speech, the louder the roar will be.
Is this because you must have your own kind of ideas and your own things that you're particularly passionate about, either generally in living with dementia or specific issues in your country? Does it provide a platform as well for you to kind of try and talk about your own, the things that bother you?
I think it's been so enlightening for me to be in this group, because I can give you an example. Before I came, I thought Denmark was the leading country in using people like me to speak, in having a good Alzheimer's dementia system. And I met these people from other countries, and a lot of it showed me that it can be much better. And in many countries it is. And get good ideas from that I can bring home with me. It's really a good thing.
I didn't think of that. I mean, you must be the same for you as well, Chris.
Yeah,
I mean, you go away and
absolutely.
you kind of realise you haven't got that benchmark, have you? I kind of liken this. I remember when my daughter went to school, I could never quite knew if she was doing good at school or not until you chatted to other parents.
There's no such thing as bad or good. There's no such thing as bad or good, especially with dementia. You just do what you can.
Yeah.
And we're a group, and we quickly, because we've got very similar problems and maybe different illnesses, but similar problems, that we bond quite quickly, don't we? Because we understand each other. And we all bring our own expertise into that, and it's really good. Peer support at its best. It really is. We share, we talk, and we can usually solve each other's problems, can't we, in deficits.
And it's great that you both come forward and give up your time. Chris, I gather this is the first, because obviously we're at the conference, we're here in Helsinki for a particular reason, and I gather this is the first time that the working group's had its own plenary session at the conference. What's covered in that plenary session, and why was that important?
Members have spoken in plenary sessions before, so there is a difference, but the European Working Group usually has a symposium, not plenary. And it's usually at lunchtime, and it's always packed. It does really well. It's got a good history, and they decided that we deserve a plenary, and yes, we do. Simple as that. And there's no way we're not going to do plenary now. We won't be going back to a symposium.
You want more than one now. So how did you? I mean, obviously, it sounds like, how did that come about? Was that your suggestion, or Alzheimer Europe? Did they come to you and say, let's add this on?
It's a mixture of everything. It's a mixture of everything. But mostly down to Jean, really, the CEO.
And did you have...
And feedback from delegates as well.
And did you have control over the programme?
Absolutely.
Did you set that?
We always do. throughout the years, the European Working Group organises its own session with help, and we help each other as well. But everyone writes their own speeches. We organise it between us. There's not one person in charge. Even though I'm chair, I'm just there to knock the glass and give people a turn to talk.
So, well, talk us through that. Can you just talk us through how you went about organising this? So Jean comes and says, "Hey, we should have a plenary on this." What happens next? What goes into planning?
The same as the symposiums we used to have. We usually try and do something to do with the theme of the conference. Not always, but most of the time. And you can explain as well, Pia.
So this year's theme is new. We should add the new opportunities in dementia care policy and research, isn't it? So it's kind of this new horizons, I guess, topic.
But this time, to be fair, I just led you down the wrong path. Then usually we do something to do with the title. This time, because it's our first plenary, I'm not sorry confusing you now, as well as myself. We decided to showcase the European Working Group a bit and our own personal stories, and everyone mentioned something in their story about the European Working Group.
So who are the speakers at this plenary then? Is it all members of European Working Group? Have you
I take it you
invited
didn't see it then?
Oh, you didn't see it?
I did, but I'm not here to accuse. I saw it, but I'm asking you because you're the ones who have been here.
Okay, I can tell you.
Yes.
We were 4 members from 4 different countries.
Yes.
Speaking, and it was set up like this: that we were at a meeting, or we got an email or something, and asked the group, "Does anybody want to make the speech?" And so we said yes. So it's voluntarily, but we get the ideas of what we can do from the group.
So you did anybody, was there some arm twisting involved there?
No, absolutely.
Did everybody say who's going to volunteer first and then nobody did?
Absolutely not. We always get more than we need. In the past, we've actually had everyone on stage and did 5 minutes each. Everybody, but it's not always possible to do that. So no one has their arm twisted. We have more than enough. In fact, 2 people stepped back and allowed other people to speak because they've spoken before.
Is this a small supportive group? I mean, did you all know what you were going to talk about in advance? Did you all test this out with each other and work it through the programme?
We all went home, we all wrote, they all wrote the speeches, I didn't. I just chaired the event. You all went home and wrote speeches, didn't you?
And then we shared it with each other and commented, got comments from the other viewers.
Yeah.
And then we went home again, and then we wrote the speech again. So we read it many times. And it's very nice to get comments on it. Also because, I don't know if you know, but we made a movie with these
Balaclavas.
Balaclavas.
I'm quite nice, so it's not me that can't pronounce it.
Yeah. And somebody in the group objected to that because they come from countries where this shows war and criminality. Mm-hmm. So it's I learned something in that process. I wasn't aware of that.
But you need to get the link to that because it's a very powerful short film about being invisible.
Yes.
And that's the balaclavas. But it's just at this moment, it's with what's going on in the world.
Yeah, it's got bad connotations with that particular look, hasn't it? But I did see the plenary. I thought it was excellent. And for anybody who's watching this at home afterwards who hasn't been attending the conference, if you look on X or on social media and look at hashtag 33AEC, I think there's lots of little clips out there that people have already recorded and comments and quotes and things like that. Because
the stars of the show were Pia, Vera from Czech Republic, Nigel from Wales, UK, and Kevin from Ireland. They were the stars. They've all got totally different diagnoses, different ages. and different parts of the world.
I thought you did amazingly well to hold it together. I think they were so emotionally charged that it's quite easy to...
But I was thinking, even though we have different dementias, our speeches were more or less about the same thing, just in different ways.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Well, we're almost out of time now, but Pia, can I ask you to talk about, because you mentioned that you're a newer member to the group, and I don't know how often you were involved in teaching before, so I guess talking publicly to a group of people isn't something that's new to you, but there are 1,000 in-person people attending to it. That must have been quite nerve-wracking. What was it like to speak in front of 1,000
I have
people?
been a high school teacher for 20 years. I've never been on the stage. I know teachers usually love that. I didn't have anything I was shy. I didn't have anything to talk about. But via the small dementia group in Aarhus and the Alzheimer's, I feel I have something to talk about. And I loved it on stage.
Really?
Yes. I didn't have anything in my stomach. I wasn't nervous. I loved it. I felt like I was one with the audience.
Well, I think
it's really strange.
The great thing about this audience is they are kind of receptive. They're all here because they're passionate, they care, they're interested. So it's a friendly audience, isn't it? I don't think it's like a politician presenting something that not everybody's going to agree with. But
and I also feel after I got the diagnosis that I am together with the audience, because most of the audience have some experience with Alzheimer's or working with it or something, so we can connect easy. That's very nice.
Well, I really enjoyed your talk. Thank you very much. That's all we've got time for today. I'd like to thank my incredible guests, Chris and Pia. I'm Adam Smith. I'm delighted to be bringing you behind the scenes insights from 2023 Alzheimer Europe. Hello.